Now you're probably like me and you like the look of layering dies, but one, you find them a little too expensive to be buying on a regular basis, and two, they're really difficult sometimes to put together, especially with all of those little pieces. Now I have the solution for you. All you need is a Cricut and Cricut Design Space, which I know a lot of you have already, and just one tool in Cricut Design Space will help you make layering dies for free or for 99 cents, like the example I'm showing you in this video. So let's get started. All right, so what you're gonna do is go into Cricut Design Space and you're gonna select New Project. And you can either upload your own image to work on, or if you like, you can choose an image from Cricut Design Space. What you want though is something like this image here that is a lined image. You don't want a ton of solid space or anything like that, or just a solid image. You want things with a lot of lines. You're going to go ahead and duplicate this by right-clicking and selecting Duplicate, and go to the bottom right here and click Contour. You're going to click this button that says Hide All Contours, and that is your first step. It's super easy, and what this does is it creates a shadow to go behind your lined image. So I'm going to change the color of these to the color that I want to work in by selecting this square here, and I'm going to change this to green. I'm going to right click on my image and select Bring to Front, and when I layer it on top of my image, you'll see now, if I were to cut out these two layers, this is what it would look like if I glue them together. So I duplicate the line image again, click the Contour button, and now comes the part that maybe is a little tedious, but it's not hard. All you have to do is think to yourself, what areas of this image do I want to cut out in the same color cardstock? So for example, I have light green already done. And now I'm going in and adding a couple of the leaves here in dark green. So I'm selecting all of the inside solid areas of this lined image for the leaf. You'll notice as well when you select them, they turn light gray, so you know that you're selecting the right ones. And you'll also see here on my image now, those 3 leaves that I have are completely solid. Okay, so this means that when I place my original lined image over top, you'll see that it's going to color these 3 leaves in dark green, and that back layer is going to be the light green. Now, obviously, I don't want to have all of my flowers and butterflies green as well, so I'm going to duplicate the lined image another time and hit the Contour button. And now I'm going to select my next color of cardstock, or the next color I want to show up in my image. In this case, I'm going to be selecting the insides of the flowers. So I'm going to cut these out in brown more than likely. So I'm just going to select all these tiny little dots. Then I go up when I'm all finished selecting all these little dots to that X in the top right corner. That's kind of like your OK button in this case. And you'll see the centers of my flowers are all completely blacked out. I'm going to change this to brown so I can see what it kind of looks like here. And you'll see that each of the colors is showing through once I layer one on top of the other. I'm going to duplicate the lined image again, and this time I'm going to select my petals for the flowers. And if you get it by now, please skip to 4 minutes and 50 seconds. If not, keep watching if you'd like to see this continuing. So I'm going ahead and clicking the flower petals this time, and I'm going to select 2 petals or 2 flower petals to cut in pink. I don't want to cut all 3 flowers in the same color, although of course I could. This would eliminate one less layer, and one less layer to cut obviously does save you time. I'm going to change this here again to pink, and you'll see when it's clicked on top of the image, you'll see it's slowly coming to life. Duplicating the lined image again, hitting the Contour button, and this time selecting the areas of the inside of the butterfly. And this is just a really great way to get yourself layered images. And I just wanted to point out that once you do this once, if you save your file, you don't have to do this again. This will be completely saved for you, and you can cut this out as many times as you like without having to go through this process each time. And this is what's so great, is this image here on Cricut Design Space is 99 cents, but as I mentioned, you can get free files, and in comparison to regular dies, this is just so much cheaper. And don't forget, you can go back in and edit your layer at any time by hitting the Contour button. Like just now, I added the butterfly, exited out, and I wanted to add that 3rd flower. It was not a problem. I just clicked on the image, hit the Contour button, and could edit it. So now this is all ready to go. Now the nice thing here is when I hit the makeup button over at the top right corner, you can see here, does everything look right? And because I selected a color for each one of the layers, you'll see here I know exactly which layer to cut out with which pattern. You'll also notice I have that second flower in here because I was going to show you a simple image and a complex image, but then I realized it was just kind of a waste of time showing you the same thing twice. One thing I always suggest is changing your project copies here to 2 at least, sometimes 3, 4, depending on the image. That way, if anything screws up along the way, you have an extra copy, or you can have extra layering die cuts. Now for your cardstock, I can't tell you which setting exactly that you need, but generally medium cardstock works for the most part. Just a friendly reminder as we're going throughout this tutorial, if you're enjoying it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'm on this mission to get the silver button, 100,000 subscribers, and I need your help to do so. Thanks so much. So I'm also going to tell you what to do if you don't get those material settings quite right and it doesn't cut through the paper like butter. Okay, so I've loaded my machine, it's getting cutting. At this point I can walk away, I can do something around the house or work on a different project. And I did notice that this here is not doing so well as far as lifting up. So I have the wrong material settings or my paper just has too many fibers. And I'll tell you in just a second what to do in that case. But I do want to tell you to scrape your mat clean every single time. If you leave these bits on here and add your next layer, there is a chance it won't cut through properly or cut properly. So it's really important to work with a clean mat each time. So here's an example of what it should look like when you have the right material settings done. Everything should just be sticking to the mat that isn't a part of your image, and it should lift up very easily. Obviously it's a thin image, so you have to be a little bit careful, but it should be easy to do. And if you don't, this is really important. So what you need to do is when it's finished cutting, don't hit the flashing button with the arrow on it that says unload. All you need to do is hit the Cricut button, that C button, and it will cut in the exact same spot it left out in. If you unload it and reload it and try and cut the file, there's a 99% chance it's not going to line up exactly. So now that I have all my layers cut out, this is a pretty extreme layering die cut. I have to say this is very, very complex. I just want to talk very briefly about the fact that this is so much easier than regular die cuts, because regular die cuts are all sorts of shapes and sizes, meaning you have to line them up and hope that it works out. With this method of layering, every single layer of mine is the exact same size. So it's really easy to line things up and everything just is a no-brainer, okay? So I'm just going to add this to a card front here. I have embossed it using a shiplap embossing folder. And I just simply added a pre-foiled sentiment before starting to embellish the card. Now I just wanted to talk very briefly here. If I were to purchase this as a metal die for my die cutting machine, this would be a die that would cost well over $100 because it's so big, as well as all of the layers. And the great thing about grabbing a digital file like this is I can resize this to any size that I want, within reason of course. Once you get too tiny with the details, the blade might not work too well, but saving you a ton of money. If you have the Cricut All Access Pass, it's free. If I pay by the image, this would have been 99 cents. You can grab files off the internet. And as I said, the ease of lining it up and the ability to walk away while I'm crafting rather than having to sit there and watch it happen is really awesome. All right, now if you like the look of layering dies and you're not a fan of the Cricut, but you still want some nice hacks on how to get the most out of your layering dies and how to make them more efficient and easy to use, then meet me over here in this video and I'll see you over there.